Hey everyone, welcome to another episode from Ampro Engineering. And in this episode, we're going to end it by, and I kid you not, by driving this car. So let's get started. Step one, you saw at the beginning of the video that we have a wheel on here, and let's find out how we did that. This is the original wheel that came with the car, and you can see that all the paint has been removed. I did this with oven cleaner, and it took off all the chrome as well. There's some chipping along the edge, but we'll sand that down a little bit to clean it up. This is a small adapter that I created that will take a 5x8 ball bearing and allow you to basically pop it in the back. Now to do that, we have to ruin the wheel by drilling out this entire post and removing some of these edges. And the easiest way to do that, although it may seem a little bit destructive, is to take one of these step drill bits and just very slowly guide it in from both sides. Making sure that it's centered isn't as important because this will fit snugly along the inside walls of this wheel. Thusly, the center of this will auto center on the inside housing of the front wheel. You can see that very carefully I was able to remove that entire boss. Unfortunately, this is still too small, but this is a good starting point. You can see how clean that came out. Now to the back. That is coming out quite nice. Always a good idea to try and get a test fit. And we can see that it's beginning to go in, but we are going to have these walls pushed back slightly more and this hole slightly larger. You might be wondering why I'm not using a vise. Well, the step drill really puts next to no torque on the wheel. It's quite odd. Secondly, it's allowing me to look directly at this to ensure that the drill is being held perpendicular to the surface. In terms of safety, I actually don't think this is too unsafe, but you are going to have to be aware that on the back side, if you hold the wheel like this or something similar to this, you can hit your hand with the drill. So please exercise a considerable amount of caution and always remember to wear your safety goggles. The part that gets messy is when the little fake lug nuts get hit with the drill bit, and that you're going to have to take an X-Acto knife and just very carefully clean that out. Be aware that the beveled edge is the side that drops in. Go ahead and clean the back side up with the X-Acto knife. Now that it's all clean, we can test fit this. We'll just push it straight in, and we'll just use the driver to make sure it's pushed all the way down. If it's not seated all the way, then the axis of the bearing axle surface won't be coaxial with the wheel's axis. And there we have it. So again, the little gap that's around here, we're going to cover that with a little plate that will glue in right on top. This means both of these are done. We'll push them back out for the time being, and now I can paint these wheels. But let's not forget the rears. These are a little bit more chewed up than the fronts, but I think if we take some sandpaper here, we can tidy them up. I'm going to start with some 120, and I'm just going to orbit the wheel around a little bit. And that is going to dramatically shave down all the high spots. And to be honest, it's looking pretty darn good already. Same is true on this one here. The fronts aren't nearly as bad, so we'll probably start with a 400 on the fronts. And now we can just get the wheel a little bit and just rotate it to deburr the edge. And we'll have to do some light touching up in certain areas, but for the most part, that's looking great. And I'll just very carefully take the sandpaper and hold it at a 45-degree angle along the inside to also deburr. These look pretty awesome. I'm quite blown away. Let's see if we can clean this one up a little bit. Because I want to paint these chrome, most chrome paints require a matte black backing, so that's what we're going to do. Wheels got sprayed with a coat of black primer. Did a very, very light coat on these, and now we'll go ahead and shoot them with some chrome. All the wheels have been painted chrome, and I think they came out pretty darn well. This is nothing more than a Rust-Oleum chrome, and I've used this for many years. And although I've seen other chromes come out with a better luster, I've had chrome painted with this Rust-Oleum paint for upwards of 15 years, and they look just as good now as they did 15 years ago. So I'm pretty sold on it. I would put the tires on, and the tires I've coated with a water-based product that I use by Adams Polishes. It's called VRT. At least it used to be called that. I think they've called it something else now. And I just wanted to let you know that I've used this for around 12 years whenever they started coming out with this product with amazing success. To install these, we'll put the rim on top, and these have not looked this good in, geez, decades. All 4 tires have been installed on the wheels and they look fantastic. The next thing I want to do is attach the inner sleeve to the wheel, and I'm going to do that very easily just by lining the edge right there with some super glue. Epoxy would work as well. I think we need to begin by putting on the rear tires. In order to make sure that we don't damage the body, I am going to pull the shocks off of the bed, and then we can somehow press the nut back on the axle. I was double checking to make sure that the tread was on the correct orientation, but it does look like no matter what way you have the tread mounted to the wheel, that it's gonna look the same. So that's a plus. I'm a little bit worried about the installation process here, so let's just press this tire on the shaft on both sides. Actually, we'll just leave one on for now. And ideally, we should somehow support the wheel while we install this. So let me get my vise. This is about the best setup I can get here. I don't want to apply any load to the rim, and I think that the gear case here is going to be a little bit more durable. And judging by how quickly and how easily these brass nuts pressed off, I think it'll be pretty easy to tap them back on. I've got a tool here that just happens to fit the center diameter of the nut, and on top I will simply tap it lightly with a hammer. After a couple of hits, it has pressed on about 1.5 millimeters. Okay, after a little bit of tapping, this side popped right on. This side here is about 1 millimeter off, and I'm just afraid that if I hammer on it anymore, I might damage the trans case. So I'm going to think about a different way, maybe just like pressing it on somehow by applying a load here and here, but I don't have anything for that right now. In the meantime, it is pressed on more than enough to hold the wheel on. And with our bearings installed, pops right in, and just a regular M4 nut. Front tires are on, back tires are on. We'll put the body back on. I threw the body on real quick, and to do that, you have to install the roll bar. Now, this roll bar is a prototype. The Tyco Bandit has a large scoop right here, which I never really cared for, so I made a new roll bar that will incorporate 4 roll bar lights, and then, of course, I've redesigned the front bumper because those are almost all broken. And this one also will have the 2 lights, which are usually there, but these are simply removable. My other ones are here, they're just not painted yet. Let's throw a battery in here. The car is ready to start for its first time. In fact, I cannot recall the last time this car ran under its own power. I'd like to say around 1994, 1995. I was messing with the shocks, and it does look like I have to add some preload. The front's a little bit soft. The rear, on the other hand, is a little bit stiff, and I think that's because I left the stock shock oil, which was 60 weight, so I'll swap that out for some 20 weight, and that'll soften it up quite a lot. The radio is on. Let's see if we can set this. Let's set it to Bandit and turn the car on. Ooh. Ooh. It steers. Wow, it steers and doesn't hit the front bumper. How nice is that? And now, will it go? Let's see here. Let's give it some gas. Oh boy. We have 2 operational wheels here. Now this is in slow. Let's go and give it some gas. And we'll put it in fast. I think we have to go outside. Ready? Actually, I don't know what's in. Is it in? Let's start in.
Sorry, Mama. That was only the back.
That was fantastic. I love this car. I'm so happy that it is alive again. Obviously, the last thing that I have to do is paint the body, but I do want to focus on doing my lighting kit. I have almost everything completed for that. I just have to make a couple more modifications to the headlights, and then we are done. It has been a long trek on Project Bandit, but the light is at the end of the tunnel. Thank you so much, and stay tuned.